Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on June 30th, 2023 at approximately 4:13 p.m. PST. Now, I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I use in my own day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the exact same philosophies I personally guide my life by. With this in mind, before I get any further into this, we have eternity eternal in the house with the gold. Shadow and Sun have shown up with the silver. And Adam Lakatos has shown up with the bronze. So welcome, guys. Like I said yesterday, I am working on a slightly different schedule here. So today we're going to take a look at the paranormal. And of course, as per usual, I did not get everything out that I required, but hey, welcome to my world. Now, is the other one visible? I don't think so. Close that there, don't need that one. What I'm actually looking for is something I'm not going to get. So, right over here. Should be right in this bin here. Yep. Don't close the pins. And of course, I'm not going to have exactly what I'm looking for, but why should that be any different? Anyway, guys, since it's not going to show itself, here's the thing. When we look at the paranormal, we look at this. The normal is what science or what people commonly accept as explicable. Okay, the paranormal is that which defies logical explanation by traditional means. Now, a friend of mine years ago coined a really neat phrase, or at least it was him that I heard it through, and that is, to know oneself is to know all. Now, I'm a living anomaly. And there's a saying that went really well with that centuries ago. Emmy Tonga, how you doing? Who do we got here? Emmy Tonga is in with honorable mention. Centuries ago, there was a young gentleman that said, all that I do, thou shalt do, and more. Now, I'm a living anomaly. And the same applies. I can explain most of what I can do now, and I can certainly point you into the right direction. The thing you've got to remember is it's up to you whether you're going to believe it's possible for you to change your life or whether it's not. Now, if we go with the normal, as you get older, your eyesight collapses, you start to lose all your teeth, your memory goes the way of the dodo bird, and you start looking like you weigh 400 pounds of melted butter. Okay, now, the reality is, you will get older. No matter what you do, you will get older. But it's up to you whether you get old. In my case, I'm in better shape now. And frankly, so can you be. I'm in better shape now than I was 30 years ago. Okay, point in fact, I'm now 60. These I used to be able to see the computer. Okay. This other set, because I won't get bifocals, they screw up my eyeballs. This set I use for driving. Other than that, I don't require them. Now, it used to be, when I was younger, I was told you get into glasses, what's going to happen is as you get older, your eyesight is going to fail. Then I found out why. Okay, now, what would you do if I told you, yeah, you may be wearing glasses, you may be wearing contacts, but what would you do if I told you, in spite of what you've been told, you can actually heal your eyes? Now, I cannot give you the ISBN number for it, but there is a book out called The Bates Method to Better Eyesight Without Glasses. This book was instrumental in my figuring out what I was doing wrong. Now, they are right, okay? If you're wearing glasses constantly, your eyes will falter. What they don't tell you is why. Okay, now I am curious how many of you actually wear glasses. Okay, at least on your eyes. I don't want to know if you wear them anywhere else. Okay, but here's what happens. Your eyes naturally change shape to adjust for distance. Okay, and thereby they alter the way the light comes into your eyeball. Okay, problem. If you get wearing glasses, and glasses are an excellent little option. Okay, now I will tell you this, and especially where it comes to driving, even with what I'm about to tell you, make absolutely certain if you've got glasses and you require them to drive, keep them on your face while you're driving. Okay, don't push your luck. Your health or lack thereof is not worth it. Okay, but your eyeball automatically changes shape to handle the light coming in from different angles. And as the light of the day lessens, your eyeballs automatically adjust. The second you put a lens in front of it, I don't care how good the eye doctor is or the ophthalmologist. The second you put a lens in, it locks the light coming into your eye in one fashion. Okay, it locks it to come in the center of the eye. That is not where all of your eyesight comes from. Okay, now this goes way outside the normal, oh, it's accepted, your eyes are how you see. But what if I told you this? Half of your eyesight, half of what you think you see, doesn't come through your eyes. It comes through your sense of touch, it comes through your hearing, your sense of smell, and believe it or not, and this is the one I cannot prove it, I am not a functional scientist. Okay, but right here at the back of your head, no, I can't turn my head around and look at the screen at the same time. That would be weird. Cut the face in half, pull the door, and pull the back of the head open. Right, if you put your hand at the base of your skull where you feel that little divot, okay, right there, the cerebral cortex has nerves in it that pick up some of what you're seeing. Hence the term eyes in the back of your head is not entirely without merit. Now, something to keep in mind, guys. If you've got a question that comes up, even if it has nothing to do with what we're talking about, absolutely put your question in the chat room. At least part of it, make it all caps so I can find the thing, or that neat little wavy hand icon. Either way, all it does is tell me you've got a question. Now, the normal way of looking at your eyesight is to say, as I get older, I'm going to have harder time seeing. Very true. If you buy into the standard structure, you keep putting your glasses on, your eyes will atrophy. They will sit still. Okay. And the net, Chad, how we doing? Glad you could join us. The reality of it is this. If you put your glasses on, it locks the light coming in from one angle. Your eyes atrophy and stay pointing in one direction. You take your glasses off, all of a sudden you're no longer able to see quite as well. Okay. However, and this is why I say absolutely, if you've got glasses for driving, and by the way, Adam, I did read that. Adam goes, I don't require them, but it does help for reading roadsides. For reading road signs. I find that kind of entertaining because it really is kind of a neat trick. Kind of like, if you're on the road, there's all these cars to worry about, but if you're not on the road, okay, you don't run into as many cars. Primarily because most of the cars stay on the road. Now, once you start taking your glasses off when it is safe to do so, okay, which means if you're not driving, okay, if you're driving, for pity's sakes, keep them on. Like in my case, when I've got the computer up and running, I use these glasses, okay, because that way I can split the pixels a little easier and actually see without suffering headaches and eye strain. But the normal way of looking at things is as you get older, your eyes are going to continue to fail. I don't look at things from the normal standpoint. the paranormal or the abnormal or whatever you want to call it, I'll try and be politically correct, and I'll absolutely fail because I don't care. Actually, I do, but okay, whatever term you want to use for it, if it's not explainable by the scientists, it's apparently paranormal. Okay, or sort of normal, or half normal, or whatever you want to call it. Okay, from my standpoint, I no longer desire to be blind. Okay, now it used to be, I hold my glasses right there. I could not physically see this distance. Now I can set these on the other side of the room and actually see them. Now, there's a lot of different things that we look at. When I'm talking about paranormal healing, I am literally talking about psychocellular kinesis, meaning literally mind over body. Okay, which is very different than psychokinetics, which is mind over matter. Okay, Henry, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Yeah, I find the same thing, Adam. I won't drive at night without my glasses. Well, I won't drive at night with my glasses much. But my problem with the night driving is the headlights. My eyes don't change that much. Well, I appreciate that, Shadow. The reality is, I do my best to be polite to people. I do have a tolerance for, or a lack of tolerance. Joe, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I figured we take a look at eyesight because of this. If you're wearing glasses, understand you do not have to stay going blind. It is not required. When I had a stroke back in 2018, at approximately 8 o'clock in the morning on December 28th of 2018, I had a stroke. Okay, ended up in the hospital. They let me out 2 days later, okay, for a day pass. But here's the thing. When I went in, I was unable to talk. I was unable to walk. 2 days later, they gave me a day pass to go home for New Year's Eve because I told them I wasn't staying. Now, needless to say, I wasn't exactly speaking clearly. But the point being this. Doctors are trained to believe a certain set of things. And no offense to the doctors. Okay, they were trained by other doctors who were trained the same way. I'm telling you, I went into the hospital and went, I'm not sticking around. I'm not tolerating this 6-month recovery time. Now, normal routine, listen to what the doctors say, listen to what everybody else says, stay in the hospital and wait until you get better. I'm more along the lines of, okay, take into consideration what the doctors say, take into consideration what your friends are telling you, and then go, I'm not doing it. I'm going to heal. Okay. Point in fact, when I came out of the hospital, I had my 2-year eye checkup was due. So I went into the eye doctor, and the eye doctor and the ophthalmologist tests my eyes. He goes, what the heck is going on? I said, what do you mean? He goes, I understand you just had a stroke and you've just recently been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. I went, yeah. So he goes, so why are your eyes getting stronger? I said, because I'm tired of being blind. He said, that's not a good enough reason. I said, fine, you figure it out. In the meantime, I now have 20/20 eyesight without my glasses, for close range. So when I go to read a book, I can actually read it without my glasses. As a matter of fact, I find it easier to read it now without them. Okay. Football, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And I got to do something here. We have to go now. I know Shadow was in here first, so we go like this. And we go, here is Shadow's link. Copy that, bring it down here. And there we have Shadow's link. And again, guys, drop in on his site when you get a chance. Listen to what he has to say. If you like what he's streaming, give him a big thumbs up. And absolutely subscribe to his channel. Okay, and then share the daylights out of the thing. Now, we have, after Shadow and Sun got in here, and I do believe we have Chad Smith. And Chad, how are you doing? Now, with regards to Chad, and we know this is the case because Chad's been very clear about it. This is the link to his stream, to his live stream. Okay, to the archives. And we pop that in there. Go give him a listen. He's got some really good ideas, really good topics he deals with. And again, listen to it. If you like it, give it a thumbs up and then subscribe to the channel. Now, the neat part about it is Chad will one day, I'm absolutely certain of it, he will periodically post from time to time. Okay. And you really want to be picking up the stream when it comes up. Now, I want to show you guys something. I just picked this up. Okay, I just picked this up today. So what do you think, guys? That's the poster I just had done. Yeah, it's a little reflective because of the fact that, well, let's face it, I got it laminated. But I figured it was time to start putting things together. So then one of these is going to end up going to a friend of mine in Saskatchewan. But you'll notice we have this neat little thing done with it. Okay. Tells you we are looking at 12 books. And yes, I do, even on this, put my phone number and my email address, because if you're trying to track me down, it might be an idea on how to do it. And again, now I've been living in the paranormal world since I was a kid. Okay. The first time I pulled anything off in the paranormal world, aside from coming back from the dead. Okay. The first time I did it, I was probably about a year and a half old, because I was sitting at the end of my dining room table, right? And Dad always told me I didn't handle pablum well. So of course they put the pablum on my table, right, on my little high chair table. I took one look at it, put my hand on the edge of it, and pushed it sideways. I did not push it onto the floor. I just pushed it out of the way. But Mom took a bowl, and I kid you not, I could actually show this to you. That actually wouldn't be a bad idea. This will bring back memories for you. Give me just 30 seconds. I will be right back. Now, this will give you an idea of why Mom got really edgy. Take a look at the size of this. This is literally the bowl that when my mom put it on the end of the table, this bowl was heaping with mashed potatoes, right? Now, in my case, I didn't like pablum, so this hit the table with a heaping load of mashed potatoes in it. And all I did was I stuck my hand out like this and the far end of the table was 6 feet away on a one-piece arborite tabletop. I've still got the table today, by the way. That table is 3.5 feet wide. 3.5 feet wide and 6 feet long. So I reached out. This bowl full of mashed potatoes slid the entire length of the table. Now, this is what's called paranormal. Okay, you don't explain it from a scientific standpoint because, well, frankly, I haven't been able to replicate it to that level. But it is a possibility. And I think I did. Cowie, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Now, the neat little part about it is when things happen around you that defy practical explanation. I was listening to the guy the other day on Spaced Out, and he's like, well, it could be this or it could be that. There's all kinds of could be. Cowie, today we are looking at the paranormal, at anything that is abnormal or is scientifically difficult to explain using standard scientific methods. It's a bit of a change of pace. However, whatever topic comes up, whatever questions you have, doesn't make any difference. Post them anyway, no matter what the field. Okay. I believe, by the way, Cowie, that when you go what we talking about, that's supposed to end with the word Willis. But that comes from back a ways. Some of you will remember that. Okay, for those of you that don't know the sitcom, that don't remember the sitcom, it was starring Gary Coleman, and it was called Different Strokes. Just one of those odd little piece of information. But when we're talking about the paranormal, whatever you can use to bypass, neat little part about that, Cowie. Okay, every home in the world has ghosts coming through it. Okay, just most people ignore them. Now, the reason I don't recite a whole pile of ghost stories or go into the newscasts and what have you, oh, this was reported. Well, from my standpoint, it really boils down to this. Okay, I don't do any research. I find research itself very boring. Okay, but I will tell you this: I don't think I'll be on Spaced Out tonight. But when we deal with gnomes, I will tell you, gnomes are a very real race, and yes, I am going to be including them in the in Races of the Worlds Volume 2. What is that? That is book 3. Oh, and of course I didn't bring the sheet of paper that I wanted. So we go back over here. It's amazing how much stuff I work on all at the same time. Yeah, it can get a little confusing, but what the heck. But when we start taking a look at doing things the way that is not generally accepted, this is when you start looking at the paranormal. Okay. Now, ghosts are, people call ghosts paranormal. I look at ghosts as they are just another person that in this case doesn't have a vehicle. Well, in all fairness, gnomes are simply, and I kid you not, gnomes themselves are simply a shorter group of, frankly, dwarves. Okay, they really are. It's kind of like when you look at, and I know somebody's going to tell me, oh, this is a derogatory term. No, it's not. Okay, and people can take offense to just about anything I say. Okay, and there's not much I can do about it. Oh, absolutely, Henry. You can absolutely heal yourself while engaged in physical activity. Now, I will tell you this. If you've got a dislocated knee, and I know this is a bit of an extreme, if you've got a dislocated knee, I strongly recommend you sit down and work on it, not try running a marathon while you work on it. Because I will tell you, the pain is going to be a little bit distracting, to say the least. Gnomes can be mean, but they're really not. Gnomes are a very gregarious group of people. Problem with gnomes, I do hate vertigo. The problem with gnomes is that they get a little testy. The neat part about it, you take a look at it. When you take a look at some of the gnomes, gnomes can be extremely short. Okay. Your taller ones are only around the 2.5 foot mark. But, you can take, people can take offense to just about anything. Now, I understand where it comes to small-sized humans, some people take offense to being called short. If you're below a certain level, well, if you're shorter than I am, you're short. I'm 5'8". This means if you're 5'6", you're short. If you're under the 4-foot mark, sorry, man, you're short. Okay, now I understand the reason people complain about the term midget is because during the heyday of Barnum and Bailey, they made a big deal out of calling little people midgets. Okay, but you got to realize, no matter what size, people are going to complain about it. Okay, everybody can find something wrong to complain about. The paranormal field is no different. Okay, do I have anywhere around here? Thought I did. Well, I know I do, but even in the paranormal field, in the UFO field, people will find things to complain about. But here's a really cute thought. How about finding things to celebrate? Finding differences that are really positive. Okay, when you're looking at healing, now I've shown you this before, but even now, assuming you're not driving, if you're driving, do not do this. Okay, but, okay, actually you could, but I'm not going to show you how. Take your hands, put them a 1/4 inch, maybe a 1/2 inch apart, and do not bring them together. As you can see, you can still see my shirt between them. Okay, focus for a moment, and you'll feel some energy between them. Kimberly, how are we doing? Glad you could join us. Now, when you do that, that is the biomagnetic flux. That is 0-point energy. There's a lot of names for it, but what it really is it's the healing energy. I'm not even sure which plane wreckage we're referring to be honest with you, that football. So that creates a bit of a problem, but I will tell you, the Sasquatch, the Bigfoot race, and I'm sure I've got the name around here somewhere, they have they do have a curiosity streak, and they will certainly rummage through something they don't recognize. I know for an absolute certainty, if my parents hadn't been there, the one that brought me back to the campsite when I was about 4 years old, would have gone through the campsite a little bit more to see what it was like. They do have a curiosity streak. Oh, Cowie, I honestly don't go about researching. I literally live my life. What I talk about are first-hand experiences. I've done very little in the way of reading about anything. Quite frankly, I find it disturbingly annoying. And, that kind of causes an interesting complication. When you think I'm in the middle of writing 23 books simultaneously, I've got 8 more in queue and 8 already in print. Okay. But no, everything I talk about, I literally have either done or borne witness to. Okay. This method of healing, when you focus on it, you build the energy, and as it gets stronger, separate your hands, but still concentrate on that energy field. Okay, what you can do with that, as you get it stronger, the one word to keep focused on while you're doing this, focus on the term heal. Your body already knows what's wrong. Your body knows if something is not running correctly. Your body simply needs your brain to go, hey, deal with it. Okay, now in my case, my brain is literally, because of a fever at 20 months old, lasted approximately 2 weeks, and the temperature ran to 108.4 for those 2 weeks solid. Flash fried the hypothalamus, wiped out the hippocampus, and physically took the brain and took the separating tissue aside from the two front ends of the 2 hemispheres connect to the frontal lobe, and the back, right, the cerebral cortex, is still connected. Net result, my brain works a little different than yours, but the principle is the same. Okay, when you're looking at it, you concentrate on that word heal. Now, the neat part is, when you get the body turned, when you get your hands strong enough where you can feel the energy running between them, okay, and you can get them about that far apart, Okay, take your hands, if you've got a headache, take your hands and just run it down either side. Again, don't touch. They say you don't, it's energy healing, meaning physical contact is not a requirement. If you're going to a person that claims they are an energy healer, Cowie, in all fairness, it does. Okay. It processes at a bizarre level. But if you ever go to an energy healer and they say, "Oh, I perform Reiki," which is energy healing. Okay. If they tell you they have to make physical contact, I've got to put my hand on you. They are, well, that was rude. I'm not going to finish that thought. You figure out what the missing word was. But whatever the word was, the last two words would have been of, our last word would have been of, you figure it out. Because energy work does not require physical contact. Now understand, here's the thing that most energy healers or Reiki masters will not tell you. Okay, first and foremost, the two most common places for a chakra to get jammed, an energy center, is in your heart center and in the groin. Now, bearing in mind that in my experience, I end up dealing with somewhere around 75% of my clients are female. Females, on the whole, tend to be a little bit more open to the esoteric side of things. Okay, Las Vegas, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Oh, Joe, I didn't see you come in. Welcome aboard there, Joe. Joe just going, thinking about the big white floating ghost by my campfire pit a week ago. It was rainy all that day. I even posted on Facebook about it, but deleted the post the next day and wrote down instead. Any way you can get a record down, I get a kick out of it because the information that individuals put down more often than not has way more strength to it than the so-called reporters. And this is no offense to Dave. Dave is one of these weird people that actually does his job properly. Okay, I have no idea where he gets the tolerance from. Maybe that comes as part of the training. But, when I take a look at things, what have we got? Oh, Nathan, thank you so much for dropping by. And just before you run off, we are going to do this. And you might be gone by the time I find this. Where are we? The quantum. There we are. That didn't work all that well. Okay, this is the link to the Quantum Show, which is Nathan's show. And again, drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, give him a thumbs up, and absolutely subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of it. Okay, what you guys call paranormal is what I call normal. This is just the reality of it. But when you take a look at that energy, okay, if you've got a headache, there's two ways of dealing with it. Aside from medication, now understand something. If you're using medication or if you're used to dealing with medication, absolutely continue doing so. This is not a replacement for the doctors. Okay, rest assured, for me, that's another issue. But from my standpoint, if you've got a doctor that you like what they're doing, stay with them. Doctors go through a lot of training and they've got a lot more basic knowledge than you probably do. In my case, they just can't keep up with it. But I'll explain that at another point. Right now, suffice it to say, anything your imagination can bring to light is possible. I would not bet your life on many of the things that get talked about. I know of one guy in particular down in the States. Okay, he went parachuting from, he jumped out of the normal 10,000 feet. But now, this is with a parachute. He jumps out. Now, I haven't never understood the purpose of getting out of a perfectly good aircraft anyway. Okay. But he jumps out, and of course he pulls the ripcord. The parachute candled, so it spun in on itself, and he just plummeted. Well, he cut it away and pulled the emergency chute. Okay. It too candled. Now, the thing is, people tell you it's impossible to live if you're jumping from that high. You're a dead man. This guy, not only did he land safely, he fell the whole distance at full speed, and then from what I gather, about 100 feet up, all of a sudden, here he is falling to the ground, all of a sudden, it's like, and then he just slowly settled. Now, if you play D&D, it would be akin to casting Featherfall. Okay. But he settled very lightly. Basically, he landed about like this. Okay. Barely had to flex his knees. Now, the reality of it is, when he jumped, it was his 1000th jump. And it was supposed to be a good friend of his was filming it to give it as an engagement present, as an engagement come wedding present. Well, when the umbrella, there's a good idea. We'll play Mary Poppins. But when the parachute candled, the guy was filming and he's like, okay, so I guess this is going to be an epitaph. The man filmed the guy coming down to the ground, filmed him landing safely, 10,000 feet to the ground. Now, I will tell you, this means it is possible. Okay. Does this mean it's a good idea to jump out of the aircraft without a parachute? I don't personally think it's a good idea to jump out of the aircraft with a parachute. Okay. Matter of fact, I've always held, if things are going well, I'll wait for the plane to land. If they're not, strap a parachute on me, shove me out the door, and please pull the cord on my way out, and I'll take my chances. But this is something that is possible. It has been done. Now, I don't know how you're going to replicate it again, but what I do know is after the first time, now for me, even if I was into parachuting, that incident would have stopped me cold. Okay. But this guy goes back up a few weeks later. The exact same thing happens again. Okay. So now he's got a problem. He doesn't understand what's going on. So he hunted, from what I gather, for about 5 years until he found a company that would let him jump. And he signed all the necessary waivers and what have you. Net result, he found he could jump off a 60-foot scaffold. Okay. If there was no safety gear, and he would still land safely. It was documented. It was proven. It was replicated by him only, but that's okay. Okay. The point being, that film, to the best of my knowledge, was put away. It was buried. I can understand why, though. You know how many geniuses would go running out and go, oh, if he can parachute like that, I can parachute, and go up in the plane and jump out, and away they go. You know what happens when you jump out of an airplane at 10,000 feet? Okay. And you fall? Well, most of the time you do that. You just hit the ground. That's the end of the day. Okay. But you know how many people are going to rush out? Daredevils. People that go, oh, I can do that because he could do it, so I can do it. Okay. He didn't get hurt. I won't get hurt. I'm telling you, the number of people that will end up dead from that maneuver would be absolutely astronomical. By the way, you're more than welcome there, Nathan. And yes, I still have you listed for tomorrow night. And I'm betting dollars to donuts. You've had it out already. Now, I gotta go back up here a bit. Cowie Snyder asked, is energy healing, does it have any correlation to the opening of the third eye? The answer is absolutely yes. And this is why. Okay. You take a look at a simple concept. When your mind can conceive it and your heart can believe it, you can achieve it. Okay. So yes, the more you understand. Now, here's the thing. The third eye is sitting right here. essentially. Then you've got 3 minor chakras that sit on either side of the third eye. Okay, this is the Merkaba band. Okay, or the Merkaba band, rather. Now, there was a piece of equipment built back in Egypt. You've actually seen it if you've looked at anything in ancient history. Okay, the Egyptian priestesses used to wear an interesting mesh over the head with a bunch of crystals in it. Okay, that set over the entire head. This was the Merkaba implant. Now, the weird part about that is when Races of the Worlds comes out, when the second printing comes out, I've got information on the Merkaba implant in that book. Okay, what it is an amplifier. And yes, I actually have the schematics for it. Big J, how you doing? Glad to hear you. And can we try English? Glad you could join us. Now, the Asari race, the answer is yes. I've actually got some of that. I've got information on them sitting in my notes. Okay. You know, the neat part about it, the Asari race is actually really well advanced on what you would call the psychic level. There's a couple of them like that. And yes, the Asari are full-blown telepaths, meaning they're both telepathic and empathic. And even the youngest of them are naturally adept at healing with energy. They know how to exchange energy to the point that whole communities can wipe out an illness in their area. But it's because they know how to communicate, because they have accepted the fact that it's possible. Now, the neat part about it, the other thing with the Asari race is they can actually pass for human, but it's not because they look human. It's because they can produce that kind of an energy field. Okay. They can produce that kind of an image into the people they concentrate on. So if you're walking with a crowd of 4 people, they may only make one of you, they may make only one of you see them as straight human. Okay. The others they may not deal with. You know, but again, these are just another group of people. Okay. And I've never seen people from any different race to any different species. I don't see them as any different than humans. Okay. Now, the neat part about it from my end is this. When we look at the paranormal, okay, anything outside the norm is paranormal. If it doesn't make practical scientific sense, in other words, if you can't quantify it, okay, I mean, it was really neat. You know, I listened to this guy the other day on Spaced Out Radio, and I kid you not, he came up with every reason in the book not to give a straight answer. Okay, I will tell you, healing by hand works. Healing by energy works. I personally, with witnesses, pulled a young gentleman out of a 6-week coma after the doctors wrote him off. Okay. Yeah, the neat part there is Lemuria was way before Atlantis. Like by about 20,000 years. But yeah, the Asari are an interesting batch. The Merkaba there, Big J. You've got a band of energy. If you deal with energy at all, and I don't know if you personally do, I'm just plain not looking into it right now. But there's a band across your forehead that quite often, if you're feeling if something is off, you'll get pressure all across the front of it. And this will make you feel a little uneasy, a little nervous. You may find yourself looking around for what's throwing you off. The Merkaba band, the Merkaba energy is that communications energy that activates beyond the level of human can. In other words, it works without conscious thought. When you're trying to understand what somebody says, you take the hearing and you're listening to it in context and what have you. Merkabah does not require a logical understanding. Okay. But when you learn how to work with it, essentially, in all fairness, it's on a subquantum level. Okay. But yes, when Nathan and I are talking, when Nathan talks about quantum, okay, depending on where he's picking it up from, quite often we are dealing with with different forms of energy. Same name, same outcome. To increase, no. What they did there, Cowie, the Egyptians used copper. They used, quite frankly, copper and silver as a way to amplify, to focus the intake of psychic energy. And of course, here's the other neat little part about that. The reason they kept the cats around so much is cats naturally draw to that kind of energy, thereby focusing it. If you've got cats in your house, you'll find they respond to things that most animals won't. Dogs respond to scent. Cats respond to a different type of energy. Okay. And yes, oddly enough, they did have, and there is no way I'm going to prove this, so somebody else gets to do the research. What I found a long time ago is I'll tell somebody that this was going on, and 20 to 30 years later, somebody will come up with the answer. You've heard the idea, like in kindergarten, we talk about the telephone. You take a string, put a cup on either end, and pretend you were on the telephone. As a little kid, the Egyptians did it using copper wiring. Okay, copper wiring with a copper plate on the inside of a pottery bowl, of a clay bowl. Okay, because by doing that, without all the fees and what have you, these guys could talk. They could hear each other plain as day, just like the telephones of today. Now, it's going to take who knows how long. I don't know how anybody would prove it. I'm not the one looking to prove it. I go, this is what I remember. Okay. You take a look at the ancient Greeks. The ancient Greeks had access to anti-gravity. Okay, they were not as stuck in the dark ages as what we painted them to be. Okay, frankly, the ancient Greeks had access to orbit. This is why that funny little, I forget what it's called, but there's a neat little item they found, the archaeologists found about 15 years ago, that is I think it's an astromech or something like that. Oh yeah, your cat absolutely would. Joe's just saying, oh, my cat responds to stuff. That includes bad weather. They will. And I mean, they're wonderful alarm systems. But this is all paranormal. It's because science doesn't understand it. Primarily because science is still trying to fit it into the concepts that science understands. Okay. Healing can happen at a staggering level. Okay. When I snap this arm, and you can't see it, but I've got a scar on it about that long. Okay. And when Adam gets out here at the end of July, I will be able to actually show it to him. Because in case you hadn't pieced it together, I do not wear long sleeves. I've always found them uncomfortable. Okay. But I will actually be able to show him. Yeah, sad to say, Henry, so are all the big ticket items. As in, let's build a plane, but we're going to build it we're going to get whoever comes in at the lowest bid. We're going to get them to build it. Now, I don't know about you. My dad worked in the aircraft industry, and even he had an interesting outlook on it. No. Big J, number one, Did the Atlanteans have different technologies? Certainly. But did they open a portal to bring the Hebrews and the Martians to Earth? No. The Hebrews grew up here. Okay, they evolved here. The Martians, well, frankly, they bring their own vehicles. Okay, the Atlanteans couldn't even get home without the help of the Covanians. Okay, and the Covanians are another race that is way out the other side of the Pleiades. Okay. Now understand, and here's a neat little piece of information for you. How you doing there, dog? Glad you could join us. The Atlanteans, the reason they were called Atlanteans is because when they came, Tracy B, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Yeah, no, the Egyptians actually evolved. The Egyptians are humans that evolved in the Egyptian in Egyptian in Egypt. There we go. You know, right along the Nile. They simply evolved there. Okay, now why they chose to call themselves Egyptians, I don't know. Okay, I don't know why people call Canadians Canadians or why they call the Jewish people Jewish. Okay, heck, I don't know why people call grass grass, other than somebody finally did. Although I do know if you get the right type of grass, you can get awfully flaming high. Okay, now I did for a long time, although I didn't get high. I just smoked a lot of the stuff. Okay, but the Egyptians are simply another, and it took me a while to figure this out. Egyptians are another race. They are still the same species, human. Same as the black people are human. And I did finally find out they are a different race, but they are the same species. Okay, and totally compatible with every other human race. Oriental, so-called Northmen, so-called First Nations. Okay, Caucasians, your Europeans, your Australians, even the people living in Antarctica. And yes, there are people living in Antarctica, same as there are people living up in the North Pole. By the way, the people living in the North Pole are not funny little elves that make lots of toys. Although elves do have a staggering creative capacity. I mean, Australia isn't real. Now, that's an interesting one, but what do you call that chunk of land down there? Because I'm thinking there ain't that many people that walk on water. You know, I'm not quite sure how that goes. But hey, what the heck? I'm a firm believer people can believe what they will. I'm not here to actually convince anybody of anything. No, guys. Now here's a neat little thing. I picked this up the other day. I picked it up because somebody decided to set it in the lobby. And it was the right size. But you know, when you take a look at one of these things and you turn it around and there's all kinds of sigils on it, it's also known as a globe. These things actually correlate pretty solidly with the land masses that are out there. So yeah, hate to be the one to tell you this, but yeah, all of the countries that you've seen, all the land masses and what have you that you've been showing are actually real. You know, I also got told, if you're from the Okanagan, it was claimed once that slugs do not exist in the Okanagan. There was a very well-known doctor here that absolutely claimed that now which was the disease? Oh, Lyme disease did not exist in Canada because Lyme disease could not cross the border. Now, I don't know where this guy got this idea from. Okay. And this is why I say whatever I talk about, don't just take my word for it. Come right out and do your own research. Okay. You know, the reality is that you can buy into whatever you will. Okay. But I will tell you, if it doesn't add up for you, you may be into a. Adam, I agree with you wholeheartedly there, because I just look and when I was told that, it's like I would love to know why this guy isn't handling the border crossings. If he can stop a disease carried by mosquitoes from coming across the border, but he doesn't stop the mosquitoes, this means again the guy is checking baggage check that is absolutely insane. Okay, now if you had a couple of doctors capable of spotting that, you wouldn't have any drug import that wasn't authorized. Yeah, I don't know about you, but as near as I've understood it, animals, birds, fish, none of them understand the idea of human borders. Now, I will tell you, right near where I live, there is a pedestrian crosswalk. Okay, in other words, pedestrians come up, they hit the button, the light goes on. Now you're allowed to cross the crosswalk and theoretically not get run over. But on this one day, I'm walking towards it, and all of a sudden I see this seagull come down, lands on the sidewalk right amongst the people. Everybody walks across the sidewalk, across the pedestrian crosswalk, along with this goose, okay, or along with this seagull. The seagull walks across the crosswalk, and as soon as he gets to the sidewalk on the other side, he takes off and flies again. And like I called after him, I said that rate is going to take you forever to get across this city. But if a seagull can follow the laws of the road, why can't half the people that are driving? From my stand, oh, they did that a long time ago, their dog. The idea was simple. Scientists have this brilliant idea. They can control nature. They're wrong, but that is the idea they've got. But in all deference to them, they have been taught by the scientists before them that they can control nature. Okay, this is the same thing. When you're taught the paranormal is evil, let's go back to the very basics of creation, shall we? Just for a split second here, because I'm not getting into the debate whether God exists or not. But if you believe God exists and you believe God created everything, then God created psychic phenomenon. Doesn't mean you can understand it, doesn't mean you have to accept it. It's just simply there. Some of you will learn how to utilize it. And yes, I am more than willing to show people how to utilize it because it's not an evil thing. Energy itself cannot be evil. Electricity lights all sorts of things. But I will tell you, you grab hold of something that's already got electricity running through it, it's going to hurt and quite potentially stop your heart. So, can electricity do something bad? You bet. Water, if it's treated properly, you can swim in it, you can float in it, you can bathe in it. But treated poorly, you will drown in it. I know because I've done that. And I'll tell you, it really screws up your interest in swimming. But the thing we have to realize is mankind is so concentrated on finding new and exciting ways to separate themselves from each other and to try and create, and I will say try quite intentionally, try and do better than Mother Nature. Mankind's not going to do better than Mother Nature. Mother Nature, Gaia, whom I call Esau, has had over 5 billion years to do this. Now, I don't know of one human that is even 500 years old. Never mind 5 billion. Now, yes, I do have memories that date back that far. Can I prove it? Not a prayer. So some of you will look at me and go, oh, you've just got delusions of grandeur. Possibly. But I do have 3 shrinks that have all said my mind works perfectly fine. Just different. My father used to worry because I don't fear the metaphysical. Okay, at all. From my standpoint, it's just another tool. Okay. And I'm wondering if I've got anything visible here. Probably not. I am looking for something that I just flat out can't see right now. Oh, that's what that is. I'm just checking drawers that I've got here. But apparently, some of the tools I've got around here are not readily visible. And that's okay. Okay. Like I said, we're talking paranormal. Okay. Anything that goes outside the norm. Now, I'm sure some of you guys recognize this. Okay. Some of you actually work with them. Now, as a matter of fact, some of you will recognize the back of that deck. Okay. This is just another one of those tools that works really well for helping to understand where you're standing in life. Okay. Now, I've been working with these since 1976 with this exact deck. Okay. Now, let me ask you this. This is a deck of cards. I'm just curious if anybody in the room thinks these, in and of themselves, are evil cards. You know, this is a tarot deck. Okay. One of the backbone tools that people talk about when they start looking at the metaphysical world, at the paranormal. Okay. They talk about things like this. Okay. Now, I'm hoping nobody in the room is actually convinced that these are evil. Now, the information you can pull with these, you can certainly put to evil use. Okay. Yeah, there is no question, Big J. Electricity can cause severe nerve damage because it overloads the system. On the flip side of that, and I've got to talk to a friend of mine because he actually works with with bioelectricity. Cowie's going, Keith, is there a certain meditation one that can raise our electromagnetic resonance? Absolutely. And again, it boils down to the same thing. It's weird from that standpoint. Okay. That idea of putting your hands together, just about together. Okay. Concentrate on that energy field. As it gets stronger, separate your hands. Okay. You'll still feel the pressure. But the further you can get your hands apart, the stronger that and the stronger your biomagnetic field is. Okay. This is just one of those neat little techniques that has multiple purposes and multiple uses. Now, the sad part is you can use it to heal, but you can use the same energy. You can use that exact same energy to cause damage. Now, is the energy evil? Not at all. What you do with it absolutely is. Okay. Now, I got a kick out of it the other day. I heard somebody say that they were banning voodoo. Okay, because voodoo is evil. And I'm sitting there going, guys, you can't ban voodoo because voodoo is a mispronunciation. Voodoo itself, and do your own checking. And absolutely, for pity's sakes, if you find something different for me, do let me know. But voodoo is a practice that falls through the ancient religion of Vodun, practiced down in South America, Borneo, down in those areas. Okay, but it teaches the same thing that the other religions teach. Okay, can it be used for evil purposes? Certainly, but it was originally used to stop the progression of illness until they could figure out how to actually heal whatever it was the individual was dealing with. Now, to me, this is not an evil act, Okay, I don't find any religion evil. And somebody out there is going, but what about Satanism? Well, I'll tell you. Absolutely it is, Henry. I was on years and years and years ago. I was on KGRA radio, okay, on the internet. And I had two guests on with me. One was a well-placed member of the Church of Satan. One was a well-placed member of the Roman Catholic Church, of the Christian Church. The funny part about it was it took me less than an hour to get them agreeing with each other that they were essentially worshiping the same guy. Okay. And no, again, you don't have to believe me. Do your own research. But the guy that I had on, I was under the same impression you were, that the Church of Satan was this evil incarnate thing. I was raised in the Christian church. Okay, and probably threw it out, but you get the idea. But I was raised to believe that Satanism was an abomination until this well-placed member of the Church of Satan sent me the 11 guidelines of the Church of Satan. And the only fundamental difference between the Church of Satan and the Roman Catholic faith is the Church of Satan says, if magic exists, if you use it, claim take responsibility and accept and admit that you're using it. For if you deny that you're using magic to get ahead, you will lose everything the magic brought you. Now, there are all kinds of different definitions for magic. I go with the idea of intention is 9/10 of the law. The other 10th is, frankly, verbology. You can intend to do something correctly, but if you're phrasing it ineffectively, you might blow the bottom out of the boat. Okay, but all of these things are interconnected. And yes, over the next number of weeks, we will get more and more into the different techniques. This was just a question of, I mentioned on Wednesday, I was going to do this. So here I am. Now, that said, I will be doing, and somebody mentioned the idea of, somebody last night was mentioning the idea of shorts. I am going to be putting out shorter videos. Okay, I'm still going to continue live streaming. Okay, but I am going to end up putting out live feeds where I will only be on for a few minutes, for 5 or 10 minutes. I'm not going to try and figure out again how to record and then how to upload and what have you. I may eventually, I don't know. Right now, I'm working it the way I am. Okay. But the reason I dug these out is this is what's called a crash course. Okay. Where it comes to tarot. Okay. And we'll just take just a simple one. Okay, doesn't matter. But the 10 of Pentacles. Now, I'm not going to go into the definitions right now. Okay. That said, if you've got questions, absolutely ask. But put the question in all caps, or at least partial caps, or a wavy hand so I can see what's going on. Okay. Now, there are a staggering number of tarot readers. Okay. Now, I will tell you, and this is going to go against a lot of what you've been told. Oh, you can't read tarot unless you're trained. Yeah, doesn't work for me. I was never trained. I was given this deck, and I've still got the books for it. I was given this deck when I was 16. And in all fairness, I'm an English major, so I called them tarot. I didn't call them tarot because I didn't know any better. Okay, but the best of the books have 15 to 20 definitions per card if you're reading right side up. Okay, now here's the kicker. First and foremost, and there are very few tarot readers that will acknowledge this one. Okay, first and foremost, take a wild stab in the dark, approximately how many definitions this particular card has. And frankly, it could be any one of them. Any individual card. How many different definitions. And this goes to, and there's a number of you that I know that are in the room that actually read tarot. Okay, how many definitions per card are there if they're written right side up, if they're read right side up? And I know a lot of people that refuse to read upside down. Okay, now I'm going to give that just half a minute to sink in. I put my water down somewhere. There it is. Just couldn't see it, that's all. But when you take a look at the paranormal, take a look at the reality behind it. Normal is simply what everybody else is used to. Paranormal is pretty much what everybody isn't used to. So what you guys call paranormal, I call normal. Now the neat part about it, and I haven't seen an answer in here, but here's the end. Like I said, I don't believe in this idea of I've got information, I'll give it to you later. One card, one direction, right side up. There are in excess of 8 billion definitions to this one card. Flip it over, you have another roughly 8 billion definitions. Now we take a second card, okay, and we put the two together, okay, and we'll take them both right side up. You now have 8 times 8, you've now got 64 billion definitions. Absolutely. I Big J, I absolutely agree with you. I like the way it was put. I read years and years ago, tarot was originally designed to spread the word of Christianity. Then the gypsies got a hold of it and figured out how to make money. Okay, and all of a sudden it was evil. Which is really weird because the people that called it evil were the church. And let's face it, like they don't gain money hand over fist. Okay. But that's the back of it as well. Okay. The other neat little part about it is here we have a deck, 78 cards. Okay. Take the pages out and the jokers, take the pages out and the higher arcana, and you've got 52 cards. The original deck of playing cards was built from the tarot when the church got really carried away with it. Okay, this is why if you can read tarot, you can read cartomancy, aka regular playing cards. But this is not an evil thing. It was designed to help people gain a clearer understanding of where you're standing. But it's very hard for most people, and I'll tell you where the hiccup is. Many of you that read tarot that I've talked to have turned around Big J, in all honesty, I really did not know that. Okay, Big J's just going, but did you know Nintendo Gaming System Company was originally a tarot card company? Doesn't entirely surprise me, to be honest with you. Because when you think about it, a company that is building electronics is interested in making money. No, in all fairness, Emmy, it really isn't. And I'm even going, and thank you for bringing that up, because I'm going to give you a neat little trick if I've got one handy here. This will work. Okay. Now, I usually tell people use a paper bag, but this works brilliantly. Okay. Get somebody else, take a couple of black bags, dark bags that you can't see anything in. Okay. Now, don't want to pull that out. I'm just looking for a little thing I can work with. Oh, I know what that is. Okay. This will work. Now, this can actually be taught quite seriously over the internet. Okay. But you take something that is of relatively uniform shape. Okay. Doesn't matter what it is. Take a black bag, take a dark bag that you can't see inside. I have often recommended paper bags. Get a friend of yours or somebody that doesn't like you, I don't care. Get something of relatively uniform shape and one color. Okay. Get the friend, without showing you what this is, get the friend to pop it inside the bag. Okay. Take the bag, and the friend puts the bag on the counter. Now, what you do without physically touching the bag. Okay. What have we got here? Yeah, this is why. Yeah, I'm looking at that. You take a black or a bag that you can't see. Now, the reason I say this works over the net, okay, is I'm going to give you guys a shot at something here, but it's going to take me a minute to think of what I'm going to put there. But get your friend to put something in it without showing you what it is, okay, but make it a uniform shape, a uniform color, okay, and uniform material to start with. Okay. Now, you put it in the black bag gets set on the counter. Okay. Now, with that in mind, now you sit back, you can put your hand as close to it, the bag's there. Okay. You can put your hand above it. Okay, or beside it, but you cannot physically touch the bag. Okay. You cannot physically touch it. Then you think and you reach out with your higher senses and go, okay, what am I feeling? What is its shape? What is its material? What is it? And what is its color? Okay, do this without touching the bag. Okay, when you think you've got it sorted out, then write it down and move on to the next bag. Or write it down, and then after you've written it down, open the bag. See what was inside it. See how much of it you got right. Do I have one here? There's a couple of other tools, but that is a very basic tool to start building your higher senses. Any one of you can do it. You know, any one of you at all can do it. I'm no better than you are. I've just done it longer. Okay. But every single one of you has the capacity. You're all born with it. And no, this does not make you a freak of nature, nor does it make me a freak of nature. Any more than somebody that has a natural penchant for computer programming is a freak of nature. Okay. But that's one of those neat little tools. Now, I'm just wondering if I've got a visible item here. And it would appear not. I open this up. Tell you, there are a couple of things that work really well. Okay, for that kind of a tool. For something that is uniform in size, in shape, in color, and configuration, coins work really well. Okay. Now I recommend you start by working with one item, not putting multiples in. Okay. Now this was put to the test to me myself. Cowie, the answer to that question is absolutely yes, there is. Well, sort of. Random locations are going to be a bit of a problem to practice with because you won't have any way of verifying it. But if you've got a friend somewhere, okay, if you've got a friend to contact that you can utilize, Get them to go to some place in their area, wherever you are. Okay. Get them to go someplace in their area, then concentrate on them and tell them what you see in the neighborhood. Go with first instinct. The reason it can't be random is because it could be random, but if you go random, you'll have no way of verifying. Okay. This is why you work with somebody else. Okay. So, and this is something, it's not something that necessarily happens right off the bat. It will take some effort. I know where it is. I'm not going very far, guys, because it should be right around the corner. Should grab the other one because this one doesn't show up well. This is another tool that can be used to enhance your remote viewing, your telepathy, the whole 9 yards. I'm pretty certain you guys will recognize this. If I can get them open. Oh, they're taped shut. So we won't fight with that. Pretty certain you guys will recognize these. But I will tell you why they look a little different. Okay, I'm sure you recognize that configuration. Standard playing cards. Okay, with a deck of playing cards. Okay, and then the reason these are black is because these are Russian. Okay, but you take a standard deck of playing cards, shuffle it up nicely. Okay, so that you can't tell what it is. Now, take your deck. And what you do to start with, now, bear in mind, I'm not going to do this. I'm just going to show you what you do with it. You pick it up, you face it away from you. Now, clearly, if I'm pointing it to you, you can see what the card is. And frankly, so can I. But from your end, pick the card up, face it away from you, one card at a time. Start off with just deciphering whether it's black or red. Once you say it's black or it's red, you flip it around, look at it. If you're right, put it in one pile. If you're wrong, put it in the other pile. Now, here's the ratio you're looking for. Okay. And again, this is just another one of those tools that will get your mind working in a different fashion than what you're used to. But it will enable you to see beyond the norm. Now, the ratio you're looking for is, on average, if you're just doing it by guesswork, you're going to be pretty close to 50-50. Angels, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Now, the reality is you'd be looking at 50-50. The ratio you're looking for is when you're getting either 75% right or 75% wrong. Either way, you're tapping into something. Okay. Now, when you get to that, if it's 75% right, now it's time to complicate it a little more. Okay. Instead of going with red or black, go with which sign. Okay. Which one of the suits. And again, if you're right, put it in one pile. If you're wrong, put it in the other. Again, you're looking at the same ratio. When you repeat it as often as you have to. When you've got it to the point where you're getting a minimum of 75% right, okay, move on and complicate it a little more. Again, you're refining your ability. Okay, these are just 3 different tools to do exactly the same thing, to enhance your higher senses. Now, the next step is to turn around and pick what number it is. Never mind the size of the color. Pick what number it is. Okay, and again, if you're just guessing, it'll be close to a 50-50 run. If you're going after the number, when you pick the number, put it in the pile. If you get it right, put it in one pile. If you get it wrong, put it in the next. Again, you're aiming at 75% accurate before you progress. Then you progress to both the number and the color. Okay. Or the number and the suit. Okay. And eventually, when you're at the point where you can pull out 75% of the cards, when you pick them up and you're looking at the back of the card, not at the front of it, and for all of those of you that are looking for a loophole, yeah, sitting in front of a mirror is a cheat. Okay, it won't do you any good. Okay, when you're to the point where you can pick out the number and the suit 75% of the time, head for Las Vegas. You'll do wonderful. It's not called counting. If you happen to actually see the card, okay. Although they might throw you out anyway if you're winning too often. But these are just a couple of tools that you can use that are tried. They're true. I call them tried and true. I've used them. Clients of mine have used them. I've worked with clients of mine to develop them. Okay. Even one of my really good friends who happens to run a coven. Okay. She's the one that keeps telling me keeps telling her friends that I'm her mentor. Now understand, I am not a witch. I don't practice witchcraft. I use it instinctively. But there was an old saying that went, when you push technology to its ultimate level, there is little difference between technology and magic. Okay, magic itself is not evil. Okay, but hopefully this is helping you with some ideas. Now, like I said, where it comes to remote viewing, I've had a lot of practice with it where I've had corroboration on that level. Okay, as long as whatever you're doing, first of all, with the right intention, and second of all, you are not using it to manipulate somebody else. You can certainly do spell work with somebody else in their best interest. But understand, you never, ever, ever use spell work or energy work to change somebody's approach to you. The only person you utilize that kind of energy on is yourself. If you're striving to get somebody to draw somebody to you in the way of a relationship, casting a love spell on somebody is just a bad idea. Derek, how you doing? Glad you could join us. The problem with casting a love spell or concocting a love potion is this. Let's assume for a moment it works. You won't know if that person is with you because they fell in love with you or because you forced them to. Okay, this is why when you're working with magic, magic is just another term for the paranormal. Okay, Shade, how you doing? Glad you could join us. It is literally just an issue of another type of energy to work with. So, when you're dealing with that, you can certainly utilize the energy to make yourself more appealing, to make yourself healthier. Myself, I literally turned around and went, nope, I'm not dealing with illness anymore. Okay, that last stroke I had 4 years ago, I haven't been sick since. Primary, except for, I've had a couple of days where I've talked too much. Can't picture that, can you? Keep forgetting what I did with my water. Sad part is I used to drink one of these full of rye without even blinking. Actually, it was a little smaller than that. That other bottle I showed you the other day was more the point. Now, the neat thing is, and this is directly for, well, it'll apply directly for you, angels. Okay, number one, when you're looking at health concerns, the first thing you have to realize, you don't have to know the cause of your illness or the discrepancy. Your body already knows it. And this is why putting your hands in this formation, and you notice it kind of looks like you're praying. Okay, there's a reason for that. It's because your fingers, presumably, your fingers have to stay attached. Okay, I don't know about you, but mine don't come apart well. Okay, so by putting your hands together, what you're doing is linking your two chakras. Now, here's the thing. You're told the root chakra is the people that teach chakras tell you that the root chakra is situated roughly between the knees. Okay, now how many of you have heard that one? Okay, that's your root chakra, the one that grounds you, etc. Now, the reality of it is, from my experience, and again, I had it corroborated by other people. Okay, the root chakra, in all fairness, I know most of you that are Reiki masters or are working with Reiki or working with other forms of energy healing have been taught that the chakras are lined up in a straight line, from top to bottom, with the root chakra being at approximately your knees. Now, the weird part about that is the soul is not built as a bipedal form. Your root chakra is not, in my experience, and understand something very important here. Reiki masters work with energy. If you're dealing with a Reiki master that says they have to put their hands on you, well, think of this. The two most common places for a chakra to go out of balance is your heart chakra and your groin. Okay. Now, if you have to have physical energy, physical contact to work on those chakras, bearing in mind that in my experience, over 50 years of doing this, okay, over 40 years of doing it professionally, when you realize that 3/4 of the clients I dealt with were female, if I had to put my hand physically on their solar plexus or on their groin in order to help them heal, how many do you really think would actually come to me? Okay, or come to any male or female for that matter. Derek, that's not a problem. And we'll get to that in about 10 seconds here. But this is one of the things I'm going to be dealing with when I'm coming in on Fridays. And this is what we were talking about on Wednesday. Okay. Is we're going to look a lot more at the healing side of things and help you guys get your feet back on track and get that life back that you'd like to have. I'm in better shape now than I was 30 years ago. Okay. Lord knows what I could have done if I'd have gotten out of my own way and done what I knew works. Okay. But when you're looking at that, you look at healing and energy work, literally physical contact is not required, period. If they tell you it is, they're not an energy worker. Okay, walk away, find somebody else. Okay, if they tell you they can't, they can't do it well without physical contact, they're not working with energy. Okay, it's like a dentist going, I've got to look at your feet to be able to work on your mouth. There's a bit of a discrepancy. But your body knows what is wrong. So, now do not get me wrong. If you don't know how to do this, absolutely turn to the doctors. The doctors have more training than you do. Okay, if you're like I am, and you understand energy a little better, then absolutely use your own methods. But even in my case, when I snapped this arm, I went to the doctor. I didn't wait to go, oh, I can fix it. Give myself a heart attack there. I hate phones on occasion. And before my stroke, the phone could ring and it could be sitting right beside me, wouldn't bother me. But your body knows what's wrong. You don't need a doctor to tell you this is what's wrong. But I will tell you, if you don't know emphatically, not, oh, I know because I don't want to go to the doctor. This is insane. Okay, if you don't know what's wrong, a doctor is your best bet to figure it out. What do we got here? Shade is going, yeah, I've heard about there is some oil or something the brain sends down to the groin area, like it's secreted and then goes back up, reabsorbed. Oh, that's okay. No need to apologize for where you get your information from. I will tell you, the brain is a phenomenal tool and has a lot of different chemicals, different enzymes it creates. All of them are designed to heal. Okay. The problem is sometimes they get a little out of balance due to stress or what have you. Oh, fantastic, Adam. Thank you so much for letting me know. Curiosity, where is right there? Back in the 70s, we had what we called a boombox, also known as a ghetto blaster, a cassette recorder, that sort of thing. This is what I call my one box. Okay, word of mouth advertising. This is my database for knowing who has bought which books, who is getting a copy of the newsletter, so that come next month, I will be able to send out the next newsletter, the one for August. It'll be going out again. Let me just see here. That's June, so if I look at July, yep, it'll go out on the 17th because July 17th is a Monday, which means the post office is open. Now, the neat part about it, I'm going to be in the newsletter. I'm adding to it as I go along. Eventually, it will be, and I don't know what size it has to be for somebody to consider a magazine, but it will eventually get there. Okay. But where it comes to healing, one of the biggest things I've noticed people are having trouble with is dropping weight. In today's world, it's a royal pain. And here's why. Most of the food that you buy in the store, I mean canned food, has an additive to it that not only stops you from dropping weight, but makes you hungry. Okay, now, yes, I still eat a lot of canned food, but I also drop weight. And what I did find is this: modern doctors, the ones that are just coming out, will go, "Oh, you need this pill. Take this pill. Working out, exercising, and eating less will not make you lose weight." It's basic math, people. Yeah, Henry goes, the additive is known colloquially as sugar. There's also a corn extract that they use for the same purpose. But I do agree with you. And I love the way they did it. Some sugars are deadly to you. Okay, aspartame being the biggest one from what I read a long time ago. So what did they do? They took it and stopped calling it aspartame. They called it something else. Like that was going to make it any better for you. Okay, it's kind of like years and years and years ago, the United States had a massive obesity problem. And the government decided, oh, we can't have this. There's too many people that are obese. So what did they do? They came up with a new definition and they went, you know, we now have a new classification of morbidly obese. Well, amazingly, the number of people registered as obese dropped by, if I recall the numbers correctly, about 2 million people. Okay, they dropped it by 2 million people. But the morbidly obese ranking, all of a sudden you had 2 million people on the morbidly obese. Morbidly obese being defined as 500 pounds or more overweight. Now, I don't know about you. I didn't like being 50 pounds overweight. You know, and I'm certainly not going to listen to the doctors that tell me I should only be 145 at my height. I'm just not going there. Honestly, Adam, you can call them whatever you will, but I'd recommend being polite about it. Yeah, Derek goes, oh, Derek goes, also a store near me. The woman bought a $30 scratcher. She won 500. I don't know how, I don't know the name of the scratcher. I gave up on lottery tickets myself. But what I have started doing is investing in GICs. And I will tell you, GICs do not pay out as much as $100,000 overnight. But they do lock it up so that you make better money than mutual funds on a regular basis because they're guaranteed they won't lose money. And to me, that would be the critical issue. Oh, guaranteed income certificate. You get it through the bank. Okay. And what it is now, I don't know if they've got them in the States. I presume they do. Okay. There's all sorts of things that you can get in different investments. I don't deal with investments. As a matter of fact, GICs are the first time that I've gone investing in anything recently because every investment I've ever made, unless it was investing in me or investing in somebody else. Now, I'm not see a conversation like Derek. I'd have dropped out of the show anyway, because to me that is just not the topic to go to. But that's me personally. Some people would say I was a prude because of that, but I don't really care. You know, I've been called a lot of a lot of things over the years. Some of them are actually repeatable in polite company. Okay, there are all sorts of ways of looking at negative things or at crossover things, all sorts of ways of looking at them. And, you know, teach their own. Am I going to look down on somebody that does? Yeah, I don't doubt it was. My son keeps telling, you know, Derek's just saying it was fun, like joking Dave was in it also. Well, here's the thing. My youngest son keeps telling me I've got no sense of humor. My eldest son backs him up on it. You know, but then I look at the world a little differently than some. I was talking to a chap down at the corner about religion, and I told him, I said, look, there are discrepancies. He goes, well, he says nobody's ever proven it to me. So I laid out a couple, and he goes, oh, now you're splitting hair. I looked at him and I said, yep, and that's the way you're going to see it, and that's okay. You know, the reality is all sorts of things. I won't argue with you there at all, Derek. I would I back it up in this chat room? Not at all. Okay, but then it goes against where my comfort zone is. Okay, you know, call it what you will. What do we got? Shay goes, it's Friday night, fourth weekend. I'm hearing bombs going off. I live near a lake full of wild folk. Oh, great. Oh, yeah, it's got to be getting close to that, isn't it? What is the date right now? Oh, today's the 30th. Oh, okay. This is essentially your guys' July 4th weekend. That's why. You know, because let's face it, July 4th is on Tuesday. It's no wonder it's already started. But then, you know, way back when I did celebrate Halloween in the whole 9 yards, you know, everybody else was setting off fireworks. The guys I was hanging around, we got together and set off pipe bombs. But understand, we did it where nobody was getting hurt. Oh, great. So I do hope, Christine, that you go out of your way and actually get her one. Okay. Bird feeders are wonderful things. The only problem with them is if you've got cats. It can be a little bit of a problem. It's kind of like ringing a dinner bell. But absolutely, I mean, let's face it. At 75 years old, you know, if she wants a bird feeder, I'm thinking go ahead. Christine goes, yes, I did, and no added sugar. Now, how pray tell, you know, you can make apple pie without sugar. What am I talking about? Apple pie is full of sugar all on its own. You know, I lucked out. I don't cook for a reason, but my eldest son, on the other hand, has cooked professionally for the last 5 years. So now that he's moved home, he periodically cooks something for us. I think this is a fantastic setup. You know, but when we're talking about the paranormal, anything that goes outside of other people's comfort zone usually gets classified as paranormal. Okay. Yeah, Cowie goes, how do you build a pipe bomb? Laugh. No, don't nobody answer that. You do realize, Cowie, by saying don't nobody answer that, my usual return would be I'd answer it. But I agree with you. Answering it, we don't discuss that method here. No, you definitely don't. You know, I know a chap that was looking for information, and, the sad part is, just to be clear, whether you believe it or not is 100% irrelevant. Just to be clear, the government is tapping what goes on through these sites. It is, the companies such as YouTube, who we're talking through right now, does monitor what's going on. No, trick-or-treating started dying out from decades back when I was a child, and some genius decided that putting razor blades inside of apples and giving them out to the kids was a neat idea. Okay. We used to be able to, when I grew up, you'd go out, you'd get dressed up, but you always got dressed up in something fun, in something scary, right? You'd have a Halloween party and we'd go apple bobbing. The reality is there's a lot of change that has happened, but one of the reasons why I started putting the newsletter together is because I got tired of the number of magazines and the number of newspapers that they go, here's the front page news. So and so got murdered. So and so got shot. So and so got ripped off. It's not that I don't care. It's not that I don't think bad things happen. It's that it doesn't need to be frontline news. Okay. And for those of you that are getting the newsletter, and again, it is 100% free and will remain that way, whether it's coming to you in email or coming to you in physical form. Okay. It will remain coming to you free. Okay. And all I have to have in order to get it, here's a real pricey investment for you to get it. If you desire the email version, I require an email address. I will not be posting it online and say, come and get it if you'd like it. Not going to happen. Okay. So if you desire the email copy, you just have to get to me what your email address is. And if you look below this video and any of my other ones, you'll find a way to reach me. Okay. The easiest one, of course, is this one. This is the email address you can bet your bottom dollar will get to me. Okay. But if you desire an email version, send me an email. Let me know that you desire the email copy. Okay. If you desire a hard copy, I require a physical mailing address. And because down the road I am going to be working with birthdays and what have you, if you want to have any interaction on that level, I'm going to require birthdays. Will I ever sell the database? No, not going to happen. Will anybody ever hack my database? Good luck. There's my database. It's not on my computer. Okay. I just don't bother putting it on my computer for a lot of reasons. Now, will it take time to put it out? You bet. Okay. And as it gets bigger, I was told by one person turned around and goes, well, you should automate the whole thing. Then you don't have any problem. Right. If you automate it, then it'll all come up and one person can do it. If I don't automate it, I can hire extra people as things grow and not only build the empire I'm in the middle of building, I will keep an eye open for it there, Cowie. Okay. Nice part about it is at this point, because the August one isn't out, the one you'll get will still be the July one as soon as I get an email from you, because it's all done and ready to go. But I got told, because with the Wombox here, to calculate out what I'm working with, this is going to take time. And I got told, well, automated then won't take your time. I went, yeah, but if I hire somebody to actually do what needs done, then I put people to work. Now, I've worked it out with Inner Voice Enterprises, where 80% of my net profit will be going back to the community, either to people that work for me, to customers, or to people that are contributing, such as my artists that are doing the writing. Adam. Oh, you don't automate going to the post office. You automate your email. Okay. You can automate email distribution. Automating going to the post office, that boils down to you look at your son and you go. And good luck with that working. Now Christine goes, Keith, your son, that's a chef. Does he cook at home? Oh no, he'll cook at home. He's getting out of cooking, so he cooks because he has to. Right. He cooks because he has to at work. But at home now, he'll cook once in a while, which is fantastic. Because I'll tell you, cooking is not my strong suit. No sense of taste, no sense of space, and taste buds that just don't work. Bad combination for cooking. Derek goes, I used to love going to the roller skating rink when I was younger. All the music, the skating, it was fun. Yeah, I know a lot of people that did it. I couldn't even stand up on skates. And I didn't like crowds. But a lot of the people that I knew did. The answer to your question there, Derek, I think my eldest, is around about the 5'7", 5'8" mark, same as I am. My little guy, my youngest is probably about the same height, but he will be taller than I will in short order. Yeah, and Christine says we all had feathered hair. I'm guessing if you had feathered hair, this means that you grew up in the 70s. Because one of the biggest things about the feathered hair, Farrah Fawcett Major back with Charlie's Angels and periodically on $6 Million Man, she took feathered hair to an all new level. I wear my hair this way because frankly it's easy. And like I said, I'm pretty lazy. See, now most people had a real attachment, most guys had a real attachment to Farrah Fawcett. Myself, I was much more taken by Jacqueline Smith. There was a much higher level of class there, just in my opinion. Of course, the reality of it is everybody's got their likes, everybody's got their dislikes. But when we start looking at the paranormal, we can tap into it to really make things turn around and move in a hurry. Ouch. Derek goes, I just did my height at my mom's place. My mom has a height chart. And he's 6'5.25". Well, Derek, if we ever do meet, I will be forced to look up at you. Okay. That's just the reason. Now, I got a friend, I've got a neighbor that I kid you not there, Derek. I kid you not, this kid is going to make you look short. Okay, you're 6'5". 3 years ago, he was 6'7" and growing. I think he's pushing, I do believe he is pushing 7 feet now. And it's funny because I saw him today. He's, over 6'7", and I kid you not, his hair comes down to here. But, from my standpoint, it's very simple. The more you can tap into what's going on, the more energy you put into being decent to people, the stronger your energy levels get. Well, in my case, I think the weirdest one I ran into, Joe's just asking, what are the darndest places ghosts show up in? I had one show, and well, we had a whole house full of them. Right, we had a witch's coven in the witch's coven was in the basement. A there was a whole pile of orphans in the attic, and then we had a satanic cult in the back room. You know, but I've seen ghosts show up. Well, I think one of the darndest places that I ever ran into a ghost was frankly right here. And no, guys, whoop, that's gonna hurt. And no, this is not a real skull. This is a real plastic replica. It used to have a working mandible, but this ghost showed up in here. Well, more to the point, she showed up and I told her to pull up a seat. You know, but I've shown you that little hand puppet, the red one. That's where we had another ghost show up. I've had ghosts show up inside of microwaves, inside of stoves. I mean, they show up in some of the weirdest places. We had one that used to show up in the kitchen all the time. And he'd steal paring knives. By the way, guys, especially those of you that are now getting the newsletter, if there's something missing from it or an addition that you would like to see added to it, drop me a line and let me know, please. That came out really poorly pronounced. Please. I'm not quite sure where that came from, but it did sound kind of weird. The nice part about it is that we all have the capacity to tap into the higher senses, to put them to work in favor of turning out a much brighter, a much more positive world. But it's up to each and every one of us to do that in our own location. Okay, this is why I'm getting rid of the negative junk out of my area and starting to work on the positive. Well, I've been working on the positive, and of course, bearing in mind, I've been a professional pack rat for decades. Okay, it takes a lot to get rid of a lot of stuff. But I am now, let me just call up what I've got here. Book 12, aka the next one of the Yldrbac Chronicles, is now up to 325 pages and climbing. And I've got a whole pile of it written that I've just got to transfer over. But the reality of it is, what have we got there? Because I can't quite read that. Oh, there you go. Adam goes, my phone just dinged saying rain stopping soon. But it's not raining out and hasn't since Regina. That's okay. Years ago there, Derek, I was cutting through southern Saskatchewan. And all of a sudden, it's in the dead of winter, clear sky, right? And all of a sudden, the radio come on and says, chance of organized precipitation, 0%. And I'm like, what, pray tell? And no, it was 90%, sorry. Chance of organized precipitation, 90%. Clear sky, brilliant, beautiful day. And I'm sitting there going, what, pray tell, is organized precipitation? Is this where all the raindrops, all the little raindrops line up on the right, the big raindrops show up on the left, and then you've got your snowflakes that are all behind it. Because about snowflakes are real timid. Yeah. Shade's going, I'm 6'3", so not that tall. It's funny. I knew Steve Galloway was 6'5", so I guess Galloways are tall on my father's side. And 6'5", my father was 6'5" also. I honestly couldn't figure out what they meant by organized. I mean, I can understand what organized means, but How, pray tell, do you get precipitation to get organized? Oh, nice, Derek. I am so happy to hear that the swelling's come down. By the way, give me 5 seconds. I'm going to show you something that worked like an absolute charm for me. And this one's directly for you, but it's going to take me half a minute. Derek, this is literally for you. Now, I don't know where you are, whether you can get this stuff. But this is something, it's a life brand. It's called electrolyte maintenance. Okay. Now, I get it here through Shoppers Drug Mart. Now, I don't know where you can get it, but take a look at it. I picked this stuff up, and I kid you not, within 2 or 3 days of using it, right, where I was only using two to three of them a day. Okay, this stuff was instrumental in bringing the swelling in my right leg down, or my left leg down rather. But it does seem to balance things out quite nicely. Yeah, Cowie goes, I'm the short guy here at 5'9". Cowie, you're taller than I am. I was down to 5'7". I started out when I was in high school, I was at 5'10". I dropped to 5'7". Now I'm back up to 5'8". Do not ask me how this accordion thing works. I don't get it. But the way I look at it, I'm content the way I am. As far as my height goes, my health is getting better. My leg is still a screwball job, but hey, what the heck? But like I said, Derek, this stuff was instrumental in actually bringing my swollen leg down. It looks like an infomercial. Look at this. It's instrumental. And no, I do not get paid a royalty from life. Okay. Quite frankly, I don't use medication much at all, but I had to look at it when I started getting the idea that it was possible, as some people suggested, that maybe I had a blood clot. Which, as it turns out, that pretty much eliminated that. Now I use it periodically, but the thing I use for my heart is hawthorn berry juice. It is called, literally, I'm going to take the glasses off. It is called, it's Life brand, and it's called electrolyte maintenance. Okay. And here's what it looks like. Hopefully that'll help. But that's electrolyte maintenance. I don't know if it shows up if you're seeing it right. Slap myself in the back of the head soon so I quit stuttering. But I get it through Shoppers Drug Mart. It works like an absolute charm, and it doesn't actually taste too terribly bad. Yeah, no doubt there, Shane. In my case, I've got one thing down pat. I can fall down real easy. And the nice part about being shorter is I don't have as far to fall. On the other hand, I have seen some phenomenal gymnasts, some phenomenal athletes. I look up to athletes. They've got a drive that I just don't have where it comes to physical health. I have started working on my upper torso. I have started dropping the weight that I've got, because I will tell you, you desire your life to get better. Bring your life back into a balance. Oh, there you go, Derek. Yeah, I have no idea what I pay, because I think it's a little cheaper here, but I grab 2 or 3 of them at a time, so I don't have to go out as often. But I will tell you, Derek, it works like an absolute charm. They have, what is it, 8? Yeah, I think it's got 8 in it. But from my standpoint, if it helps your health, it's worth it. Yeah. It's got eight patches. So 1 box will last you a week if you're using 1 a day. Okay. In my opinion, definitely worth it. But that was me. Like I said, in my opinion, food poisoning is overrated, so I don't bother with it. The common cold, the common flu, no thanks. My way of looking at it is this. If I sneeze 3 times in a row, I had a cold. If I hiccup after those 3 sneezes, I had the flu. Oh, Derek is asking, what is the smartest race of aliens and the smartest race in Earth? Well, the smartest in Earth is the easy part, the elephant. There is no question there at all. Okay, now this is assuming we're referring to brains as in understanding the metaphysical world and working with the natural energies. When we are talking technologically advanced, we got all kinds of competition. But the Talons are one of the more advanced. Now, do understand, Talons are sentient robots. You might call them androids, but they build their bodies out of mechanical stuff. And what they do is they take a look at the way another race is working, and they will build mechanical replicants. Okay, and I don't mean the replicants using little nanobots. I'm referring to macro construction. Okay, but the Talons are one of the more advanced technologically speaking. But gauging which ones are actually the smartest is a bit of an issue. Okay, because I mean, if you take a look at it, Sasquatch, okay, and I gotta go back because I know they've got another actual name, but they have a phenomenal mind. That's the best way I can put that. Holy mackerel. We are way over. As we can see, there are times when my mouth can get carried away. Yeah, there's a lot of traction. It's all garbage. In my opinion, people that are telling you that the gray aliens are androids and they were created to monitor us and they are clones of themselves, etc., and they're dying out. I'm telling you, in my opinion, that is hogwash. Okay, it just doesn't hold. From what I've seen, there is no way that holds any value. Okay, now people are entitled to believe what you will. I'm not here to prove it. Okay, but I will tell you, there's a lot of traction that people have had that the Earth is flat. I don't buy into that one either. Okay, or that we are doomed to die, that we have to die, in the next couple of years. I'm 60 and apparently we're only supposed to have 70 years of life. Well, I'm telling you, that doesn't hold water either. Well, some of them are black. Shay, what you're talking about sounds incredibly like an Untar. Okay, because they come in any shade. And they can be a frightening little thing. Okay. There are a lot of other races out there. Now, where am I sitting here? I want to look at this. Because this is how I keep myself organized, sort of. Where are we? Now, this is Friday, obviously. Saturday, I'll figure out what I'm dealing with. Sunday is an open topic. Tuesday, we are going to deal with strictly, and we are going to focus on various different aliens. The reality at this point is we're over the 2-hour mark. I'm going to bring things to a close here. Okay, I will absolutely thank you all very much for sharing your time with me. I really do appreciate it. And I will be back again. Tomorrow. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.